Welcome back, guys. Today, we're going to look at what you need to do to prepare for the investment opportunity of a decade. Let's get into it. If you're not in a position to take advantage of this information right now, share it with people around you who are close to you who may be in a position to take advantage, but just don't know what they're doing. At minimum, you'll be able to take this information, take these processes, and use them in the next crash, in the next correction. So all is not lost. However, there is one important thing that you should definitely not do, and that is take money out of your investment accounts. Do not withdraw money from your investment accounts, specifically ones that are geared towards your retirement. This will definitely wreak havoc on your net worth for years to come. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's start with step one. Audit your financial situation. Now, strangely, I've been hearing some people on YouTube saying that cash is trash. This is complete nonsense coming from people that have no idea what they're talking about. However, that's a topic for a completely different video. Now, getting back on topic. What you want to do is write down all available funds you have from all available sources in order to get a picture of how much money you have to deploy when opportunity strikes. Common places where you might find some of this money is in checkings and savings accounts, cash positions in your investment accounts, conservative funds in your investment accounts that could be sold off to buy better producing assets, and low percentage lines of credit, specifically home equity lines of credit. Some people are going to tell you that a home equity line of credit is dangerous, but that's just because they don't know how to utilize the tool properly. Now, if you already have access to a line of credit, that's great, but make sure you do not max it out. You should always have a buffer no matter the situation you're in. Same thing goes for your emergency fund. If you've been smart enough to save 6 months of your expenses, do not go dipping into those savings to buy an asset. Ideally, if you have enough equity in your home, you should already have a line of credit set up. It might be hard to get an actual line of credit these days, but it's still worth a shot. Now, once you figured out how much liquid capital you have access to, it's time to move on to step two. Identify and allocate. Make a list of all the assets you wanted to buy before that you couldn't because they were either too expensive or you just couldn't afford it. That could be specific stocks, bonds, rental properties. It doesn't really matter. Once you have that list, you need to allocate a specific portion of money to each asset that you want to buy from the pool that you established in step one until you're satisfied with all of your allocations. Now, the final step is prepare, review, and execute. This is the most consuming, important, and involved step in this whole process because it actually involves you doing some work and making sure that you have everything set up properly for when the time comes to purchase your asset. You won't have time to do these things when the opportunity arises, and you might miss out and regret it, all because you weren't prepared. Step one and step two do not matter if you just stop at step three. Now, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is talk to your accountant, show them the assets you've identified in step two, and get him to go over everything with you so that he can make sure they're being purchased in the proper accounts with proper tax strategy. If you don't already have these accounts set up, it's gonna take some time to open them and potentially transfer money into them from other accounts, from your line of credit, or from your bank account. Perhaps you wanna buy a property as part of your plan. Is that gonna be held personally? Is it gonna be held corporately? Do you already have a corporation? If not, you gotta open one up. That's gonna take some time. The same thing goes for a line of credit. If you have one, that's great. But you gotta know how long it's gonna take to take money from your credit line to your bank account to your investment account, or how long it's gonna take to get from your credit line over to your investment account. If you don't have one, well, now you gotta deal with setting one up. All this stuff takes time, guys. These are the types of things you need to discuss and follow through on way ahead of time, way before purchase. Now, if your accountant doesn't know anything about this kind of stuff, then you probably need to find a new accountant pretty quickly. Once you have all your ducks in a row, review the plan and see if there are any gaps in it. If there are, start working on them as you go through the process. There are a couple of things you need to keep in mind. You need to be vigilant and monitor these assets that you've identified because the opportunity to buy them is not all going to come at the same time. You're going to have one asset be available to you maybe in a couple of weeks, whereas maybe a real estate asset might come a couple of months down the road. It's not just going to be that you're going to wake up one day on a Monday and say, hey, all my assets are at the prices I want them. I need to pull the trigger. So you got to watch out. You got to be vigilant. You got to make sure that you're keeping track of these assets. And when they go into your buy zone, you got to be ready. The other thing you got to be aware of is using your line of credit. I've already told you earlier that you need to have a buffer. So if you have a $500,000 line of credit, do not use all 500,000. Maybe use 250, maybe use 300, maybe use 350,000. I don't know. Everybody's situation is going to be different. Have a buffer. Do not max everything out. That's actually a terrible idea. It's going to cause you some problems. The second thing you want to make sure with your line of credit is this. Look at the percentage of your line of credit and look at the asset that you're trying to purchase with that line of credit. The spread should be pretty high between what you're purchasing and what you're going to be paying in interest. Otherwise, you're going to be taking on way too much risk for not enough reward. The other thing to note with their line of credit is that you don't want to just get this line of credit and transfer all the money into a savings account or a checking account or into an investment account, wherever you're going to use it, because you don't know exactly when that asset is going to come up. But if you're monitoring, you're going to know it's getting closer. And once it gets closer, that's when you want to start transferring the money. The reason for that is if you take the money out right away, you might be waiting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many months before that actual asset comes up to purchase. And in the meantime, you're going to be paying all that interest while not getting anything back in return on the other side. So you got to make sure that you get the timing right. That's why you got to keep monitoring the situation. Once all this is done and the opportunity comes, pull the trigger with confidence. You've already done all the prep work. Everything is ready to go. Don't be scared. There are no guarantees in life. You can only control what you can control. Now you might be saying to me, oh man, this seems like a lot of work. I can't do this. There's too many steps. It's actually not that difficult. Take things one by one. I can guarantee you one thing. If you don't start this process right now, you're gonna regret this 5, 10 years down the road, 100%. You're gonna feel way more pain because your net worth will be a tiny fraction compared to what it could have been if you just took some steps today. As I sometimes like to say, planning prevents piss poor performance. The 5 P's. Let me say that again. Planning prevents piss poor performance. Now, watch some more of my videos and then get off your ass and start putting this shit in place right now. Like after you watch more of my videos. As always, like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, watch the other videos. I'll see you guys very soon.